The night was bitterly cold. A restless wind swept across the empty dock, dragging wisps of fog over the dark water like ghostly fingers. Karen Ledger stood at the edge of the pier, clutching her small brown suitcase against her chest. The handle was slick from the mist and every gust made her shiver. The only sound was the quiet slap of waves against the wooden posts below. Somewhere out on the black surface she could hear the faint hum of a boat engine, distant, maybe still miles away. She checked her watch. 10:47 p.m. The letter had said 11 sharp. She took a slow breath and glanced around. The nearest streetlight flickered weakly, throwing long jittery shadows across the boards. There wasn't another soul in sight. The road leading to the dock was swallowed in darkness, lined by tall pines that swayed and creaked in the wind. Karen tried to calm her nerves, but something didn't feel right. It wasn't just the cold. It was a heavy, crawling sense of being watched. Like eyes were following her from somewhere just beyond the fog. She rubbed her arms and told herself it was nothing, just her imagination running wild. After all, who would be out here this late? Then came a sound. A faint rustle behind her. Karen froze. She turned slowly toward the trees, peering into the shifting mist. The fog was thick, too thick to see more than a few feet ahead, but she was certain she'd heard something move. "Hello?" she called out softly, her voice trembling. No answer. Only the groaning wind and the rhythmic slap of water. Karen forced a nervous laugh and turned back toward the dock's edge, staring out at the sea. The boat would be here soon, she thought. Just a few more minutes. But then, the sound came again. Louder this time. A branch snapping. Her heart started to pound. She took a step back, suitcase trembling in her hand. The fog behind her seemed to shift, swirl, and then she saw it, just a flicker of movement. Someone, or something, was standing at the edge of the trees, watching her. Karen's breath caught in her throat. The fog swirled thick around the trees, but she could see the outline, a tall, thin shape standing perfectly still at the edge of the dock's light. Her first thought was that it might be someone from the boat, maybe the captain coming early. But something about the way the figure stood, motionless, made her stomach twist. "Hello?" she called again, voice barely steady. "Is that you? Are you with the ferry?" No reply. The figure didn't move. Karen took a hesitant step forward. The wooden planks creaked under her boots. "I'm waiting for the boat," she explained nervously, as if talking would make her feel safer. "It should be here any minute." That's when the figure stepped closer. The light hit his face, or what was left of it. A man maybe in his 40s, wearing torn, dirt-stained clothes. His eyes were sunken, his skin stretched pale and gray. In his hand he gripped an axe. Karen froze. Every instinct screamed at her to run, but her legs refused to move. The man tilted his head, a grin twisting across his face. His teeth were yellowed and cracked. "You look good," he said softly, his voice low and raspy. "Real good. I bet you taste good too." The words hung in the cold air like poison. Karen stumbled backward, nearly losing her balance as panic took hold. "Stay away from me," she cried, clutching her suitcase as if it could protect her. The man's grin widened. "Don't worry," he whispered, taking another step forward. "It'll be quick. A clean kill." Karen turned and ran, the suitcase slipping from her hand, thudding against the dock as she sprinted toward the road. Her boots pounded the wood, her breath ragged. Behind her, she could hear the man's footsteps, heavy, deliberate. The metallic scrape of the axe dragging against the planks. "Help. Somebody please," she screamed into the darkness. But the wind swallowed her voice. She reached the end of the dock and spun around, desperate, but the fog had swallowed everything. The man was gone. Or so she thought, until she felt a cold breath brush the back of her neck. Karen didn't remember how long she ran. Branches whipped across her face and her breath burned in her chest. The forest was endless, black trees stretching in every direction, their roots twisting like veins under the moonlight. She didn't know where she was going. She just knew she had to get away. Behind her, the man's laughter echoed through the trees, distant but sharp enough to cut through the wind. It wasn't the laughter of someone chasing for fun. It was hungry. Finally, Karen stumbled onto a narrow dirt path. Her ankle twisted and she fell hard, scraping her palms against the frozen ground. She bit back a cry and forced herself up. That's when she saw it, a dim orange glow flickering between the trees. A light. A house. Maybe someone could help. She limped toward it, clutching her side, gasping for air. As she drew closer, she saw an old wooden cabin sitting crooked in a clearing. Smoke curled from a rusted chimney. The windows were dark except for one, a faint light shining from within. Karen rushed to the front porch and banged on the door. "Please," she cried, voice breaking. "Please, someone help me." No answer. She pounded harder. "He's coming. Please." The door creaked open on its own. Karen hesitated. The air that drifted out smelled like rot and damp earth. Still, anything was better than being out there with him. She stepped inside. The cabin was small, a single room with wooden walls, a cold fireplace, and a table covered in half-burned candles. Strange carvings covered the furniture, symbols she didn't recognize. There were ropes hanging from the ceiling, and a large metal tub in the corner. She turned to close the door behind her, but froze. The inside of the door was covered in scratches. Deep, frantic gouges like fingernails dragged through wood. Her stomach dropped. Then, from behind her, a voice whispered, "Welcome home." Karen spun around, eyes wide. The man stood in the corner of the room, half shrouded in shadow, the axe gleaming in the candlelight. The door slammed shut on its own. Karen froze, her back pressed against the door, her shaking fingers still gripping the handle. The man stood motionless across the room, his clothes filthy, his face hidden beneath tangled hair and grime. The flickering candlelight glinted off the sharp edge of his axe. Who are you?" she stammered. The man tilted his head slightly, his lips curling into a crooked smile. "That don't matter," he said softly. "You look good, real good." He took a slow step toward her, the floorboards creaking beneath his boots. "I bet you taste good too." Karen's heart stopped. Her mind screamed run, but her body wouldn't move. The air in the cabin grew heavy, thick with the smell of blood and rust. "Please," she whispered, her voice trembling. I don't have any money, just let me go." The man laughed, a low guttural sound that made her skin crawl. "I don't want your money." In one motion he raised the axe high above his head. Karen let out a piercing scream, and then the blade came down with a sickening thunk. Silence. For a moment only the wind could be heard outside. Then the man exhaled deeply and wiped his brow. "Clean kill," he muttered as if proud of himself. He dragged her lifeless body across the wooden floor, leaving a dark red trail behind. Outside, the forest stood eerily quiet as though watching. He hauled her corpse through the trees until he reached another clearing, his true home. The cabin here was worse, windowless, reeking of death. He pushed open the door and dumped her into a rusted bathtub. The sound of her body hitting the metal echoed through the room. He stripped off her clothes, humming to himself, then went out to the shed. Moments later, the roar of a chainsaw shattered the night. When he returned, the work began. Flesh, blood, bone, nothing was wasted. The man worked with surgical precision, his face calm, almost peaceful. When it was done, he roasted her legs in the oven, stirred a pot of thick red soup, and ate by candlelight, savoring every bite. Later, as he went through her coat, something caught his eye, a folded letter. He opened it, and froze. The fire crackled softly in the corner of the cabin, the only sound breaking the heavy silence. The man leaned back in his chair, stomach full, grease and blood glistening on his hands. On the table beside him lay bones, small ones, stripped clean. He wiped his mouth with the back of his arm, humming an old country tune under his breath. The air was thick with the stench of cooked meat, blood and smoke. Outside, the wind howled like a warning that came too late. Then his eyes fell on the letter again. It was folded neatly, edges smeared with red. Curious, he picked it up and unfolded it with shaking fingers. As he began to read, the grin slowly vanished from his face. His pupils dilated. The words felt like ice stabbing into his chest. "Dear Ms. Ledger, your test results came back. We regret to inform you that you have leprosy and it is contagious. We have arranged for you to be treated at a special isolation clinic. A boat will meet you at the dock on Friday night at 11 p.m. Please make sure you are there." The paper slipped from his hand and fluttered to the floor. He stared blankly at the wall, his mind struggling to process what he had just read. "Leprosy?" he whispered. His stomach turned. The taste of the meal he had just devoured suddenly filled him with dread. He stumbled to his feet, clutching his gut as nausea surged through him. He looked at his hands, trembling, slick with drying blood. Were those red patches on his skin, or was it just the candlelight? He couldn't tell anymore. Panic clawed at his chest. The room seemed to close in on him. The walls breathed, the floor pulsed beneath his boots. He stumbled to the mirror nailed crookedly above the sink. His reflection looked back at him, pale, sweat-drenched, wild-eyed. He touched his cheek. His skin felt strange, numb like paper. He pressed harder. A piece of skin tore away under his fingernail. He screamed. Outside, the wind grew louder, almost mocking. The letter lay near the fire, its corner catching flame, the edges curling, the ink melting into nothing. By morning the cabin was silent. The fire had burned out. And on the floor beside the tub lay only bones, and a single half-eaten hand.